This is going to be another relatively easy, moderately quick meal to make. And I'm going to start with a New York steak. This is a bone-in New York steak. This particular steak has been known by other names. Sometimes it's called just a strip steak. Sometimes it's been called a Kansas City strip steak. Sometimes it's been known as a club steak or a shell steak. This is what would be known as a T-bone steak if the part of the bone was over here and it had the tenderloin portion still attached. It would be a porterhouse steak if the tenderloin attached was a larger portion of the tenderloin. But this is just a half of a T-bone or half of a porterhouse. And it's the bone-in, see the bone there, bone-in, we call it a New York strip. That's probably the most common name for it. I've got it cooking over on a griddle here at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. This steak weighs just over a pound, which is fairly sizable. I'm not going to eat the whole thing. When I was younger, I probably would have, but I'm older now, and hopefully I'm a little wiser, a little more informed on nutrition and health and all that. And while I'm not really a health nut, I am leaning in the direction of promoting better health while still enjoying steaks and all kinds of other good food. Just in moderation. Don't eat them every day. Don't have the extravagant every day. Don't have the ice cream or cookies and candies every day. Have some and enjoy it, but do it smartly. Do it healthfully. While this is cooking, I'm going to give it a little bit of a seasoning here. This is one of my favorites. This is a Simply Marvelous seasonal. It's good for basically everything. Meats, any kind of meat, chicken, fish. It's good on vegetables, whatever. I really like it on steak, so I'm going to give it some nice flavor here. Press it in, make sure I get those flavors firmly adhered to the meat. Like I was just saying, this New York strip steak weighs just over a pound, and rather than eat the whole thing now, I'm going to save a portion of it, maybe a third of it or so. I'll save that, and I'll have that tomorrow morning for breakfast. I'll dice it up, reheat it, and cook it in with some potatoes, a little bit of cheese, and some eggs on top for a country-style breakfast. But for now, let's keep working on this steak dinner. I'm going to make some sauteed mushrooms to go on top. And because the steak is kind of what you might call a heavy meal, I'm going to have some sliced cucumber and some tomato slices with it to try to even that out a little bit and have some good stuff with some nutritional aspects as well. So I'm going to let this cook. I'll be back in a few more minutes when it's ready to flip over, and then after that we'll finish it up and bring it all together for you. See you then. It's been roughly right about 10-11 minutes, and the steak looks to me like it's ready to turn over. I do want to mention though that if you try to cook the steak by time only, you could run into some problems. The reason is, if you cook by time, the clock doesn't know how thick the steak is, it doesn't know what temperature the steak is, it doesn't know whether it came out of the refrigerator just now, or whether it's frozen, or whether it's been on the counter for an hour, and the clock doesn't know how hot the cooking surface of your cooking area is. So there's too many variables to try to cook accurately by time. Not knowing how thick it is and all these variables, they just make it really hard to cook by time. It's much more accurate to cook by temperature. So I'm going to season a little bit more before I go any further. So I'm going to use a instant read thermometer to check the temperature of the steak when it gets a little bit closer to being done here. I prefer mine anywhere from medium rare all the way up to medium. I'm going to shoot for somewhere in that mid-range area where it's just past medium rare, but it's not up to medium yet. I like a little pink in the center. If it goes a little past that, I'm okay. Cook it to whatever your favorite level of doneness is. And we'll let this cook it for 4 minutes. Then I'll start adding on the mushrooms and the rest of it to bring it together. So I'll see you back here again in just a few more seconds. Alright, the steak is coming along really well. Once you turn the steak over, or a hamburger, the back side will generally cook quicker than the front side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move it over just a little bit. Now I'm going to start these mushrooms. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get a temperature reading here. Okay, about 130 there. It's definitely time for me to take it off. I'm going to add the mushrooms here. My cat's trying to help me out. You can hear her singing. She wants some of that steak I just took off the grill. My cat's very interested in the steak. These are some criminy mushrooms, by the way. They look kind of like a really large button mushroom. I like to flavor these a little better. To me, they have more of a woodsy, earthy kind of a flavor. But use whatever mushrooms you like. And if you don't like mushrooms, you can always use some onions or whatever else you do like. Try some different mushroom types. You might be surprised. You might like a different variety. Okay, we'll let these go. They're going to be coming along really quickly there. My cat gets impatient sometimes when she smells some steak or something she really likes. She'll get her treats here just a little bit. I'm going to add some tomato slices here. And a few cucumbers. And what I like to do is put some fresh ground black pepper on there also. And just a tiny little bit of salt. Not very much. I'm trying to cut back on that to make things a little bit healthier there. And then just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on top of the tomatoes and the cucumbers. And that's how we do the New York strip steak smothered with mushrooms, with tomatoes and cucumbers. Let me get a closer up shot of that for you. There we go. There's a better close-up shot for you. My cat's still letting me know she wants some of the steak there. And there's a closer up shot with it, with the slice taken out of it. It's just past medium rare, not quite to medium. It's a little hard to show up on camera sometimes. But that's a simple, easy, moderately quick, reasonably healthy dinner there with the sauteed mushrooms, cucumbers, tomatoes, and a nice New York strip steak. Maybe I'll see you next video where I do a country style breakfast with some of the chopped up leftover steak here. We'll see you then. Thanks. Goodbye.